I gotta be careful with my mic, otherwise I bump the gain. What is the uncanny valley? Now, I ask you that because you clicked on this video, and now hear me out. I think you know the answer. I think we all know the answer to this question. However, I'm more talking about the literal sense and not the subjective individual sense. Because your idea of the Uncanny Valley is different than my idea of the Uncanny Valley, which is different than Jeff's Uncanny Valley down the street. I don't know. Anyways, when I think of the Uncanny Valley, I of course think of horror. Now, when you think of horror, especially in terms of the Uncanny Valley, if you know where I'm going, you think of analog horror. Now, analog horror is a special type of horror which I will not talk about in this video. I will probably talk about it in another video. When I think of the analog horror, I think of, probably arguably one of the most popular series is definitely the Mandela Catalogs, which, if it's not and you don't know what that is, go watch it. It's fantastic if you like a good scare. If you like a good hushed AI voice being like a ooh. Of course, with the explosion of this content, there's probably thousands, if not hundreds of videos. Hundreds if not thousands. There's probably hundreds if not thousands of this this type of video regarding the Uncanny Valley. Although I would enjoy it if you watch my video, because I worked on this video, and if you watch my video, then I could make more videos, maybe, hopefully. I'm not good at this. I encourage you to do your own research, of course, because it's such a fascinating topic, and I obviously can't go through everything in one. I mean, I could, but I don't want to because it'd take too long, and I don't have the attention span to write like a 6-hour-long script and then read it and then, well, not read it, but like follow it, but only kind of. Anyways, let's get into the actual video. So, a man named Masahiro Mori proposed the idea of the Uncanny Valley in 1970. How, you may ask? He wrote a research paper. Mori is actually a roboticist who specializes in automation and robotics, but he wrote the paper Bukimi no Tani, of course translating to the Uncanny Valley. Now, I know I'm gonna butcher a lot of these Japanese names. Bear with me, there's like 3, that's it. Mori, this guy, and then another guy. The paper, and then another guy. So yeah. He believes that as robots get more and more advanced, right, we start to notice the flaws within them. So like how they move, how stiff they are, if they're not blinking, if they're secretly out to kill your mom after an entire annihilation from nuclear war that was caused by the AI uprising. Sorry, that was a Terminator rant. Thank you to all my Terminator fans for getting that. But basically, the more they look like us, the more eerie they are to us. Of course, this is the graph that he made where, x-axis is how human-like they are, y-axis is how much we like them. A Bunraku puppet should be lower because fuck that. That is horrifying. Of course, Mori was talking about this in terms of robotics, but it opened a whole new door to psychology and then eventually horror. Distorting proportions, the Thatcher effect, disabilities, and deceased things fall under this. Okay, sure, but okay, the Thatcher house is such a cool concept for like a horror thing though. Like, think about it, like you're just walking down a street, you take a picture of a house because you like it, and in the picture everything's upside down. So you're like, oh my god, what happened here? And then it's like there's a murder, right? And it's so cool. You could do so much stuff with that. You could have like an alter edit. You could have like an entity that's like altering reality to where Thatcher houses are like turning people inside out or something, or like they're flipping them, and so they like, as they walk out their door, they like fly up into space or something. And like There's so much shit that... Anyway, sorry for that. We should talk about the robotics. Now, you may be thinking, oh my god, that's a bunch of random bullshit. So, and you know what I say to that? You were right. So, let's talk about some robots. Let's put some structure in this structureless thing. So this is Hiroshi Ishiguro. He is the creator of the Geminoid series of robots, I think. But they're robots that are really advanced. This is the H1 robot. It is just him as a robot. But like you can't tell as easily in like photos, and it's creepy, and you can poke it, you can... He also made two more. He made the DK, which is this white guy, and he made the F, which is just the other one, but a female model, which like, okay, cool. Anyways, they got all three of them into a room at one point. That was horrifying. This is a picture of all of them. Why do they kind of look like the originals? I hate it. I hate it so much. I kill it with fire and acid and lava and all, like a gun. All right, now, after talking about all that robot stuff, I think it's time to talk about a little bit of fiction. I'm assuming you've watched the Mandela catalogs, right? You've watched the Mandela catalogs, right? Of course, you think of, you know, Mandela catalogs. Again, Polar Express. That's not really a horror, but it's kind of scary. Five Nights at Freddy's. The Mandela catalogs is arguably the most popular of like the most analog horror series, and for good reason. It does so much with how little it gives you. If you think it, and the Uncanny Valley is a major part of it. The entire idea of alternates is that it uses the uncanniness of something that looks human but isn't human to build a story and a creature that truly makes your skin crawl. And not only that, but it also does this using audio.
Do not be afraid, my dear shepherds. I have great news. I am your true savior. I know everything about what makes you human.
So obviously we've only talked about the Uncanny Valley being mostly visual. It's like, oh, you see something that's not quite right. But Mandela catalogs is something very interesting where it takes something, makes it sound human, but it doesn't sound human at the same time, and it instills that same sense of I'm dying, I'm crazy, but it instills that same sense that you get from the visuals. But audio, and it does it so well that it's like, what else could we do with like our other senses? So obviously sight, hearing. What about smell? What about touch? What about taste? Tasting isn't very good, but you know, it'd be fun. Now, obviously, the Mandela catalogs isn't the first. Neither is the one I'm about to talk about next, but it's probably the one that popularized the whole genre of analog horror, as well as using the Uncanny Valley to kind of accentuate the horror within the story. And that is the Walten Files.
Hip hooray, the sun has got his hat on. Hip 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 hooray, the sun has got his hat on and he's coming out today. The sun has got his hat on. Hip 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 hooray, the sun has got his hat on and he's...
Of course, it doesn't use the audio aspects as much.
It uses like VHS filters over voice lines.
Or it uses like a text-to-speech
on it, which the Mandela catalogs does also do, but more effectively in my opinion. Of course, Walten Files kind of gave life to this genre through its unsettling animation, all being hand-drawn. I think on a phone, I read that on Twitter somewhere. But like, it's so unnerving. Even the non-human characters, like the animatronics, give you that same sense that humans do. And then there's also the whole thing about like the victims being all fucked up and like blood coming out of everywhere. That thing where Shaw's doing like the calibration and then the thing fades off and then it's like a human and it's like, ooh, that's scary. But it uses this super well, and you know, it's time to talk about the conclusion. Now, obviously this seems supernatural and it doesn't seem like something that we should experience, but we do, so it's not supernatural. Grow up. I think it's because we generally associate a type of fluidity to people and like just living things in general. And I think we also it's a familiarity. So you go to a grocery store, you see people, you generally know what everyone's supposed to look like, you know, a head, body. But with this genre, it adds like a certain sense of like uncertainty almost. You look at the animatronics from Walten Files and how they move, where it's like one piece moves at a time. And in the Mandela catalogs, you look at the faces and the bodies and how contorted and twisted they are. It's Mori says it's a type of self-preservation. I don't strongly disagree with it. I think that's a good explanation, but I think we don't fear these things. We're taken back by them. We're not taken back by them, but we're put off guard by them. And then what follows is fear by something. So in Mandela catalogs, obviously it's the alternates killing people. Like, I don't want to die. You don't want to die, I hope. Please don't die. That would suck. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. I hope this does well. Because, please, reach people other than my friends.